Greetings, foolish Hello, fellow Hi, and welcome back to the Luminary Life Update podcast. This is episode 9. Now, I know what you're thinking, and what I have been doing nothing but thinking of, and I'm so glad I just nailed that intro. Now I can just kind of coast and start doing shit and let you fall asleep and or fall to boredom with my stupid ramblings and creaks of my chair. I know that's the part you all truly missed from my very passionate and driven fan base. Anyway, so here we are once again, right? It is it's 2:58 a.m. July 19th, 2020, okay? So it has been, according to my calculations, it has been 130 days since I last recorded an episode. Now, if you're smart and or curious, you may think, well, 130 episodes, wow, hold on, 130 days, that's kind of like a lot, man. How'd that happen, dude? And, well, you know, I may try to explain, but, you know, whether or not you'll buy it is really up to you. So, oh, you gotta love all that fucking throat clearing as well. Maybe I shouldn't have done a weird voice at the start. Anyway, let me take a sip of dew just right into the microphone, because of course that's what you all came here for. So, let me consult my notes. It's been a long time, as I already said, and because of that, I've actually done a lot, okay, like a lot. I actually want to consult the fucking chart here, but basically, the reason that I haven't, let me first address the podcast itself, right? The reason I haven't recorded any episodes so recently was because the coronavirus is a big fucking meme, right? Back when I made my episode in March, it was like, wow, you know, shit's kind of starting to hit the fan in America, and now it's the mid/late of July, and now it's, you know, just like a constant fucking problem because Americans are just unable to stay home for extended periods of time, amazingly enough. So, it's ravaging people, it's closing businesses, it's forcing people to be let go, and then they can't make money, so they lose their house and they become homeless, and maybe there's probably people that are starving to death, there's people that are literally actually catching coronavirus, getting sick, dying from it, families are getting torn apart, people were maybe away from their family, now they can't get back to them, there's all this just horrible shit going on, and I'm not even saying this is just America, right? This is just the world right now. At least, I mean, some countries, I think Australia, for example, has really bounced back really well from it, but yeah, this is just, this is the world we live in right now, and, basically, if I had to really boil down why the podcast hasn't been recorded so soon, or so recently, is a multitude of factors, and to simplify them, because there's a lot of things I want to cover, like so many things I want to cover, and I'm afraid as I'm laying down the track for my train of thought, how's that for a metaphor? I'm afraid that I will accidentally maybe line up a piece properly, and I'll lose that one or whatever. Anyway, so the coronavirus and everything going on kind of put me in a funk, a little bit of a depressive funk, for not the reason you'd think. Like, it is, of course, terrible that people are dying and losing their jobs and all these other fucking terrible things are happening. And there was George Floyd's murder and all the protests around that and just all this fucking shit happening. And it's been crazy. But here's the thing. If I'm being, like, completely honest, and this isn't to discount the death toll of the coronavirus or its impact on society, because you better believe I'm doing my part. I'm staying the fuck home. If I go out anywhere, I'm wearing my fucking mask. You better believe it. But the thing that bothers me most about the coronavirus, okay, back in January and February when I was following my good friend Mr. Medicare doing his streams about the coronavirus, it was kind of cool. It was I almost felt like I got hipster cred, and I'm not saying that as in like I was conscious of that, and that's why I was watching them, but simply drawing comedic value out of the past. it was really interesting to me because nobody was talking about it. And now that it's hit everywhere, everybody's talking about it all the time, and I can't fucking escape it. And it's not a hipster thing. I was making a hipster joke earlier. It's not that I'm like, well, fuck, it was a lot cooler when only I knew about the coronavirus. It's not that at all. It's not that. It's a joke. Don't read too far into it. What bothers me right now, and has for like the past few months that really just fucked me up, is because it's such a global issue and it affects literally everybody, because even if you don't have it or know anybody that has it, and fortunately so far, I don't know anybody that knows anybody that's got it. I think I had a friend's acquaintance's mother got it, and I haven't heard anything since about that. But yeah, and so everybody's been affected by it because we all have to live differently during this stupid state of shit. And what bothers me is that everybody's talking about it, and every fucking ad on TV is, in these trying times, we know it may be hard to see the light in the future. You know, blah blah blah, etc. All this other fucking bullshit. And it's so frustrating because now you don't know, like, do literally any of these companies actually, like, believe this shit, or are they all just trying to cynically pat us on the back and say, we know it's hard to buy our product right now, but it'll be okay again. You will be able to get that McRib and watch your fucking Netflix every day like you used to. Soon enough. You just gotta wait, buddy. You know? So I don't know. I don't know. Just, it's what bothers me is just everything is coronavirus, and everything is Black Lives Matter as well. So it's just, like, if I had to boil everything down, it's like, wow, things are kind of boring in the social landscape. You know, normally we've got, you know, some new social topic that only like a quarter of the population cares about, or at least knows about, like every week, every 2 weeks. But now it's like for the past 3 months, we've had a topic that literally every person is aware of and is affected by. So the variety in discussion and ideas being transmitted is virtually non-existent. So again, I don't mean to discount like the actual terrible, like real physical impact the coronavirus is having on the world right now. It's still terrible. However, I'm simply saying the thing that bothers me the most is that, God, fuck, everything is just focused on it, and it sucks. So, there's that. And I'm not even saying that they shouldn't be focused on it. I'm simply saying it's a little boring because everything is about the coronavirus, you know. So, there's that. That's one of the factors. Another one of the factors was I was in the middle of my Mega Man thing, which I believe I brought up in the March podcast. So I was in the middle of that, and I wanted to finish the whole thing before I did another episode. So once I did, which I did, by the way, big spoiler, I did finish the Mega Man thing, and we'll get into that soon enough. Once I did finish it, I don't know how long it's been, but just like ever since then, I didn't have a good chance to record the podcast because I like to be up in the middle of the night when I'm completely undisturbed and I can do completely as I please, and I can speak as loudly and freely as I wish like this, which is really cool, you know? So it's nice to have this platform, which isn't a platform, right? It makes it sound like I'm saying, look at all the social impact I have. I don't mean in my presence on the internet. I mean in my ability to get my thoughts out in a nice, cozy, well-lit room in the middle of the night when nobody needs to listen in. I don't have to be conscious of what people are hearing, and I can just kind of speak freely. And I do shapeshift my words and thoughts around trying to be funny a lot of the time. But that's also just kind of how I process things. It's almost impossible for me to not joke about things. But yeah, so once I finished the Mega Man thing, the coronavirus shit put me in a big funk, and I just really didn't feel like doing almost anything. I fell out of a lot of interest in things, and it wasn't like a really bad one. It was just kind of like, ugh, shit just kind of sucks, man. You know, So that was annoying. I was still, playing video games, still, watching YouTube, whatever the fuck, but it was just like, fuck, man. I'm so tired of, cuz it was like once I would get back into my stuff, it would be great, but then like once I returned to social media or whatever to like do my check-in like once or twice a day, and I just scrolling through all this shit, I'm like, "Oh god, Jesus Christ," So yeah, and then in the past month or two, I've been out of my funk. I've managed to kick it finally, but I just hadn't had my sleep schedule arranged like this. I had a sleep schedule that was like super normie, quote unquote, and I got up at like 4 or 5 a.m. and went to bed around like 7 or 8 and was dead tired at 7 or 8. And it sucked. It really fucking sucked. And only in the past few days now, I've been able to cycle this through, and I really wanted to record specifically today slash tonight slash this morning because tomorrow, the 20th, is my dad's birthday. So, tonight, technically, the night of the 19th, it's 3 a.m. right now. Tonight, I'll be going to bed a bit earlier so I can get up a bit earlier and fucking be like, hey, let's do a bunch of stuff, So it all kind of works out, hopefully. So now we're here. Finally, I got my sleep schedule back in place. Finally, I'm not too mooded out to do it. And finally, it's not about the coronavirus entirely, so I can fucking move on. I think what I've already said about the coronavirus so far is basically all I have to say about it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I've parsed, and in general, the problem with the podcast taking so long to come out is that, I've done so much in the past 4 months that, it's just like my super, the fine details of each of these topics has been, kind of blurred out, all of like the most key things I'll remember when I bring up each thing, but the more in-depth, like half an hour per thing idea won't probably surface here. So yes, the coronavirus fucking blows, and I am really just fucking over it. That was really the trueness of the funk, was just I was just over it. It's like, okay, we did this for like 2 months now. This is ridiculous. Can we please move this along? But apparently not. Anyway, to consult my notes a bit here, because of course I have my notes. 2020, am I right? I feel like that alone is just its own topic and its own entire breadth of analysis of the topic. Simply, I just want to say 2020. Am I right? This one's for the fucking history books, guys. I swear. Oh, God. All right. Moving right along here, So, let's do the fucking number count, and it's been a while. So we've got to go from March 1st to July 1st then. So, the number count of the absolute state update, as I do. Games. From 336 to 402. Yeah. I don't know how that happened either. If I'm honest. All right. Games wishlisted 564 down to 556. I'm kind of a badass, I know. Anime to watch from 740 to 745. Manga to read 109 to 112. And total from 1757 to 1823. Oh, delightful. Such a delightful number. I would be surprised to see such a number in any other study, but the study of the absolute state demands that there's such a colossal number. Anyway, let's see. I gotta hit up a few other things before we jump into the lightning round of covering games, because God, there's been so much. There's been so much. Oh my God. I shaved my beard on June 19th, and that was pretty cool because I had that beard from September to June 19th because and I didn't shave at all from that point onward. I didn't even address my neck beard. I didn't trim things back. I was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna fucking grow this shit out. I don't care. So it was September, and it was like, and my methodology was, and I had this idea like a year ago. So this was what I wanted to do in terms of facial hair was I'll grow my facial hair out in the fall and the winter where it's colder, and it like makes aesthetic sense to have facial hair, and then I can shave it in the spring and the summer. Does that make sense? So if you follow the logic to the logical conclusion, grow out the beard in September, shave it off in March. Well, you know what happened in March? A bunch of fucking states went into quarantine, and I was like, well, okay, then it'll be the quarantine beard. So, yeah, still here, still quarantining. So, by June 19th, I just finally had enough, and I was like, fuck it. I did trim my mustache because, fellas, if you've ever grown out your beard, you know how fucking annoying it is once your mustache and just the hair around your mouth in general gets long enough that it sometimes just drifts into your mouth, and you have to start like fucking pushing it up with your fingers when you take a bite or drink something. It sucks. So, but also I had gotten nostalgic for the feeling of my smooth face. So, honestly, yeah, that's why I did it. So, yeah, now I'm just kind of bristly, and I shave, once a week or whatever the fuck when I get tired of having whatever amount of facial hair I currently do have. And I don't know when I'm going to grow it out again, but for now, acknowledging that the quarantine beard, let's call it, was not only the longest that I didn't shave, but also the longest my facial hair ever got. I'm probably going to need a pretty good reason to do it, and also I probably don't want to do it anytime soon until the coronavirus shit is over, because otherwise I'm just going to think of the coronavirus again. So, yeah. Feels good to be shaved, though. It's funny, the moment I did it, I felt like immediate regret. I'm like, oh god, I look like I'm 12. But it's okay. And, not the kind of regret of like, oh god, how do I undo this? Oh no, what have I done? But like the regret of like, oops, well, whatever. You can't take yourself too seriously. It's just a fucking beard, dude. It literally grows back, Just wait a while, my guy. So, yeah, that's the beard story. So now, here's a big update. I bought a Nintendo new 2DS XL. Now, you probably immediately think, well, that all sounds well and good, but a 2DS, not a 3DS? What, really? This is its own big story, okay? Whoa. You don't even know what fucking can of worms you just opened. So, I've been eyeing the Shin Megami Tensei franchise for a while, mostly since December, and, okay, just had to make sure I was still recording because I heard like a weird puff on my mic that didn't sync up with my breathing, and I'm like, oh no, did something happen? Anyway, we're still here. So, yes, I want to get in the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. I got into listening to a bunch of the soundtracks, back in December when I was putting up Christmas decorations, mostly, SMT 4, 4 Apocalypse, and Nocturne, of course. And I was like, damn, I really gotta fucking check these games out. And I've been passively interested in Persona for a long time, and I wanted to, because I'm such a fucking hipster elitist douchebag, I wanted to kind of get into the SMT franchise right, and so I wanted to play the SMT games and then play Persona 3, 4, and 5, and then get into the greater franchise. So instead of just playing Persona 5, because I have a PS4 now, it's this really weird thing because I own a PS4. I have the ability at a fucking moment's notice, literally at any fucking time, I could just fire up my PS4, buy Persona 5, download it over the course of 30 or 40 minutes, and then be playing it. It's amazing. It's amazing what technology can do. And a little bit of money, a little bit of money indeed. So, Capitalism, good. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, so I want to get into SMT, and finally I kind of hit a wall after I finished the Mega Man stuff, and we'll get to all of the things I finished in order soon enough. This is the last topic before the lightning round. And I finally decided to pull the trigger on buying a DS because a bunch of the main SMT games are actually on 3DS. So I was like, fuck it. I guess that's just what I have to do. So I looked around. Now here's the thing. I only want to buy a console at this point if it's brand spanking new. And that complicates things if I'm looking for something like a 3DS or a PS3, which, by the way, I'm still in the market for. Well, I don't know if I am anymore, but I do want to get a PS3. I just don't think it's possible anymore at this point. And because I wanted a new 3DS, it was really hard to track down. So I found a listing for a Pokemon-based 3DS on Amazon, but and I was really close to pulling the trigger on it, but in a completely different thread that was talking about the 3DS and the 2DS and whatever, and somebody else was like, oh yeah, just make sure you buy it from somebody that doesn't have a bunch of 5-word reviews, because I was like, well, look, this guy is well reviewed, therefore it's a good, it's clearly going to be the right product. But then it's like, I was, totally blindsided by, the depths of humanity's absolute batshit shittiness. And, yeah, the seller had a bunch of really short reviews, and I was like, oh, God. And I had this, total pang of anxiety and stress, because I'm like, bruh, why is this so fucking hard to find? Oh, my God. So I look around, a lot of sites weren't helpful. I don't know which ones they were in particular, so I can't draw my ire to anyone in particular, but I looked on GameStop and Best Buy and Walmart and Target, and a couple of them had listings for new things, and then they were like, oh, it's out of stock. Or there was one, GameStop had a new 3DS XL in stock, but it couldn't tell me where it was, and also they wouldn't let me order it online, which was really stupid. So I don't know what the point of any of that was, but yeah, that was really frustrating. And this whole day while I'm doing this, I'm ticking things off, because I have an auxiliary video wish list spreadsheet for all the games that I want to buy on platforms that don't have a wish list function, which Nintendo doesn't, through its website at least. It does on the actual 3DS. But yeah, so I saw the SMT games that I wanted to buy and all the other games, and I looked it up on the shop just to know, hey, is any of that on sale? And as it turned out, actually, the day I decided to make a big fucking ploy for the 3DS was actually the last day of their spring summer thing sale. I don't know what the exact name of the sale was, but it was the end of a sale, and god fucking damn it, every one of the 6 SMT games was half off on sale, and I sent the screen cap to my friend. I'm like, bro, it's destiny. It's time. This is the right time to do it. So I buy the DS. No. Hold on. I have to go further into the DS thing. I did end up buying it that day, or maybe even the next day, because there's a lot to this. But I ultimately got the DS from Walmart, and I got the Mario Kart 7 pre-installed black with turquoise accent new 2DS XL, because they were brand new, and they were only I want to say $100 maybe, $150 maybe, and I knew it was valid because even though I'd been on Walmart's site before, and they apparently let other people sell through their site, kind of like eBay or Amazon, and I was like, well, that's fucking shit. But Nintendo themselves, if you go to the Nintendo website and you want to buy a 3DS, the only option they give you is that Mario Kart 7 one, and if you're like, hey, let me go fucking buy it, it sends you to the Walmart website directly, and it says, oh, this is from Walmart itself, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, well, if this has Nintendo's blessing from its website, this has to be, valid, and I guess this is just my best option, because it's a guaranteed new 2DS XL, So I bought that one, and I got it, a little bit later. But anyway, once I figured that out, I'm like, we did it. We secured that whole little segment of gaming history is now open to me, right? I've opened the chamber of Guft. But then it came time to buy the SMT games that were on sale, and then hypothetically other games that were on sale. And here's where things get really fucking dumb, okay? So Nintendo's online shop is stuck in like 2006 or 2007 because you can't buy anything on their website just off their fucking website. You have to have a 3DS or a Switch connected to it in order to buy anything. And that's really fucking dumb because on 3DS, now that I have one and I can look at these things, there's the Nintendo Network ID, and then there's also your eShop login. Instead of like your social and shop account being one thing, like on Xbox Live or on the PlayStation Network or on Steam. So you can sign into the eShop on the website with your eShop account, but you can't then, buy any games because it doesn't have anywhere to go, and it's not like you can just say, oh no, this is just part of my library, like let me just wait until I get a device and then just download it from my library of games that I've bought. No, you're not allowed to do that. So then I'm like, okay, well, I can't get my DS today because the sale ends today, and it's showing up in like 5 days. So what do? I've got it. I will ask to borrow a friend's 3DS that I hang out with often. I'll just sign into that and buy the games. However, it's not that easy because wherever you like create the network ID or not network ID, fucking Nintendo ID, and connect it to the eShop, whatever, it's like synced to that device. And you can hypothetically move it to a new device, but that would require like contacting support and putting a ticket in and all that other bullshit. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care that much. So ultimately, I didn't end up getting anything on sale because I literally could not fucking buy anything if I wanted to during that sale. So that was really, that fucking blew. Ultimately, what ended up happening was once I got my DS later, like 4 or 5 days later, I said, fuck it, like big epic style, and I just bought all like 12 3DS games that I wanted, just like right then and there, because it was like, fuck you, motherfucker. And I also had to do some SD card finagling because I had an old, I want to say 132 gig SD card. I'm not sure. I had a really big old SD card that I had in a previous phone, and I was going to try and use that, but I couldn't figure out how to fucking do it, so I ended up buying a couple more SD cards, and it was crazy because I remember when I bought that giant SD card like 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, it was like $60, and then this time around, I got 2 of the exact same SD card I had bought before, now, in the modern age, same size and everything, but as a 2-pack for $30. So I was like, okay, hey, I can't really beat that. And got it working with my DS, so now my DS has an utter shitload of space and all the games installed on it, and everything is hunky-dory, and my DS works like a fucking charm. So, that's the big story about the DS. So many fucking problematic steps in the middle of it. Just like the PS4, I gotta be careful, because when I want to pick up a Series X or whatever I want to get this holiday season, depending on whatever I'm doing, it seems like I just invite stupid bullshit into my existence by doing that. I don't know. But fuck, if I'm gonna buy, at this point, when I buy a Series X and a PS5, I'm gonna fucking just go to a store, just be like, hey, GameStop's selling the Death Stranding 2 limited edition PS5 Pro, or whatever the fuck, right? Like, all right, hey, cool, boom, let me get that. So yeah, yeah, fuck. God, how long has it been already? It's already been 29 and a half minutes. Okay, well, it's due time then. Due time for what exactly? It's time to do the what did I finish lightning round. So, there's a lot of things here. There's like a lot of things. And I'm not, got some chills just thinking about it, I guess. I'm not sure if I want to do all of them right here, right now, and try and do them blitzingly fast. My intent is to hopefully skim over them pretty fast, but also like I am physically unable to stop myself from bringing up like all the very specific thoughts I have about these things as I try to gloss over them. So we're just gonna kind of see how things go, I guess, you know. So I could list off the time, like the days for each of these, but like I'm gonna be honest, I can't really be fucking bothered, so like I'm just gonna list them off, and they're in order of when I did them. But anyway, so first up, Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal. What do I think of Doom Eternal? Doom Eternal fucking slaps. Okay? It takes a hot steamy dump all over Doom 2016, and it evolves the first-person shooter gameplay loop in a really good and engaging way. The lower ammo counts are frustrating at first, but once you realize that, you know, that's the intent of the game, to constantly keep you on your toes, constantly trying to work through all the systems and figuring out how to do all these different things, you really kind of click with it, and once you can kind of do that disgusting dance of mayhem and metal, it works really fucking well. So, Doom Eternal is really fucking good. The soundtrack's even better than Doom 2016. At this point, it's going to make Doom 2016 look like a weird, ugly stepping stone to Eternal. Because, like, once you play Eternal, you can't fucking play 2016 anymore. It's just not the same. So, like, people are conscious of the fact that, like, if people are like, oh, you know, should I play Eternal and then play 2016? It's like, bro, let me be honest. If you play Eternal first, you know, 2016 is going to be a downgrade. So you better play 2016 first. But, yeah, so, Doom Eternal. Again, there's so many things I could say, but I want to gloss over them. I thought it was really funny that a lot of people ended up, you know, starting on Ultraviolence or Nightmare, and they had to lower the difficulty. Oh, it got too hard. Even Civi had to lower the difficulty. I started on Ultraviolence, and I played through it completely on Ultraviolence. Thank you very much. I had the most amount of difficulty I had in my playthrough was at the end of Cultist Base, in the fight, like right at the end of that level before you get on the train that heads into the Doom Hunter base or whatever. That fight took me like 7 tries, and I think that's kind of like the Genichiro of Doom Eternal, to use a Sekiro reference. It's kind of like that big hurdle that like forces you and like sets you down, grabs you by the shoulders, and says, all right, you have to know how this works at this point. You can't bullshit anymore. You have to know how this all works. And once you get over that hump, that early game hump, that, like, you know, a third of the way into the game hump in any game, Genichiro and Sekiro being like the first example of that, really, in my mind, you know, it's pretty smooth sailing from there, because then you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I know what I have to do. I know what I should be doing, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's not to say in Doom Eternal I didn't die, you know, quite a few more times later on, but it never felt brutally difficult. It was like, fuck, you know, I gotta, you know, keep on my toes, you know, shit's happening, and I gotta, you know, pay attention and try my best to overcome it, which is what a game should ask of a player, right? You want it to be, ideally, you want a game to be slightly challenging, or maybe moderately challenging, no matter what kind of game it is, so that you can push yourself and overcome difficult stuff. If you just play games on easy all the time, you'll never get better at games in general, because you'll never be put under those harsher circumstances, right? So to play games on higher difficulty allows you to kind of push yourself, and it's just a video game at the end of the day. You know, it's not a physical activity, but you do in fact get to, it's about reflexes and making choices and processing ideas and managing resources and all that good stuff. So it's a really good way to mentally work yourself out if you really like know what you're doing and think about it consciously. So Doom Eternal is really good. Last couple bullet points here. Doom Eternal is the only thing I made bullet points for because it was around so long in my notes that like things happened after its release that I had to add on that I wanted to talk about. One of them is the Mick Gordon debacle because when the soundtrack for the game came out, like 10 of the 30 tracks were actually mastered and specifically handcraftedly like edited together by Mick himself, and the rest of it was pieced together by the id Software audio director just to kind of like get everything together. And everybody was really mad at first in the community, and they were saying, what the fuck, why didn't you let Mick, do all of this stuff? But as it turns out, id Software gave Mick plenty of time, and he constantly needed more and more extensions, and he ultimately couldn't deliver on time. And so as a result, they said, here's what we've got to work with, and this is what we're going to put out. And it didn't help that Mick was not openly antagonistic of id during the week or two when the soundtrack came out, and id didn't say anything about it. And Mick was like, yeah, it kind of sucks that I didn't get to do all that or whatever. Not his exact words. Don't quote me. I'm not trying to besmirch him, but yeah, once it came out that it was purely a business thing. It's not like they purposely ruined the soundtrack, quote unquote. Yeah, things got really complicated. So ultimately what happened was Mick was he got caught up in the artistry of it, and he just wasn't able to, get his work out on time properly within the constraints, which sucks for anybody that's creative. The idea that you have to constrain yourself and race to meet a deadline, even if it means the product, if the content or whatever you're making suffers, right? Nobody wants to have to do that, but that's ultimately what happened. And because Mick was somewhat immature of it on Twitter, they said it wasn't a Q&A, but in responses to id's post about the whole situation on the Doom subreddit, they made it clear that Mick will not be returning to work on the Doom DLC soundtrack, and probably won't work with id again, because that's the kind of thing Mick said himself. So they said, I guess we're just not working with Mick anymore. So they're both kind of antagonistic, and it sucks to see the split happen like that, because Mick did a fucking killer job with the Doom Eternal soundtrack, and it's going to be lame having different music for the DLC, because it's just, first of all, it will feel different regardless, because it'll be somebody else, but also if it's somebody that tries to emulate that kind of style, it'll probably work, but it'll be weird. And if it isn't, then it's going to make the DLC feel even weirder out of context compared to Eternal. And who knows what the next Doom game would be like. And I'm not even saying that as in the next Doom game will come out in another 4 years, because Doom Eternal, it's literally called Doom Eternal, and the way it ends, essentially saying your battle's eternal, blah, 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 blah. I mean, if you told me that's just the last Doom game for a while, I'd be fine. I don't need another Doom game for a while. Doom Eternal fucking slaps, like I said. So yeah. Last other thing I want to mention, the Twitch Prime skins. That's right. You get your fucking shitty ass Twitch Prime wrapped up in my fucking Doom Eternal, and so if you had Twitch Prime around release of Doom Eternal, you got the Doomicorn skin, which, while I didn't like it personally, it's okay, it's kind of funny. It makes him look like a unicorn. It's got a horn. It's white and pink, and it's got a fancy rainbow stage for the battle mode, right? And then later on, like a month or two after release at this point, like when after everybody's fucking played it, because it's like a 10-hour game, like you're not playing it for more than like past the week that you got it, unless you're stupidly driven to get the season rewards, like I was for at least the first season. Then they released a second skin, which is the fucking Fat Slayer skin, where he just has like a fat gut and a giant mustache, and it just looks so fucking stupid. And I just don't like the stupid gimmick, like comedy gag skins in Doom Eternal. But that's just what it is now, I ultimately what like so that's on a level where like I don't like them being in the game, but it's like I don't care enough to get mad about it. It's like, oh god, whatever, But where I draw the line is that it's another Twitch Prime skin. And it's like the game's been out for like a month and a half now at this point. No, like it doesn't even like make sense to do a Twitch Prime thing anymore. And then it gets worse because there's been a third Twitch Prime skin, the Cosplay Slayer skin, where it's like a guy dressed up in green, like cardboard boxes, right, that have been painted like that. It's like, why? What the fuck? Why is there more than one Twitch Prime skin? First of all, Twitch, stop spending your fucking money on this. I don't know who's giving or taking money where, but the Twitch Prime thing should end because the game, it's been fucking 4 months since the game came out. I think we can just let that die now, Like, yes, they're updating Eternal, and it has this, leave that yawn in, woo, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And Battle Mode has a small but passionate fan base probably, but just, everybody else is like, well, campaign was really fucking good. Now I'm just gonna bide my time, play other stuff, and wait for the DLC to come out. So that's what everybody's fucking doing. I ended up, oh god, I totally forgot about this part. At one point they added a DRM to the game that I believe it was de novo anti-cheat that installs at like the kernel level of your computer. I don't know what I mean when I say that. That's just what I read, right? I don't know very much about like really like fundamental, well, like I know basic computer stuff, but I don't know like the raw like building blocks of the computer, like BIOS and everything. But yeah, and so people are like, oh, that's fucking stupid, you better get that de novo shit out. And it hypothetically made the game run shittier, and all that. And just during that whole debacle when it was just getting totally fucking lambasted, I uninstalled it, and I don't fucking care, right? I will reinstall it when the DLC comes, and then I'll play the DLC, maybe uninstall it again. It depends on how soon after we know the next DLC comes. But yeah, so Doom Eternal, you absolute fucking slapper of a game, and I hope it leads the charge in first-person shooters for a few years at least, because one thing I noticed in general with the gaming industry is, mid-late 2000s games were all dominated by gray and brown because, oh, it's so fucking realistic. Ugh. And now, finally, in the past 4 or 5 years, I think people have finally realized that the best looking game isn't one that's like gritty or like washed out, shit like that. And I am going into art design, right, or whatever. I'm not talking about art style. I'm not talking about how realistic characters are depicted, or if it's cartoony, or how the density of details, blah, 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 all that other shit. I'm talking about like colors ultimately. People figured out it's not about washed out. It's not about making shit grimy and gritty. What really right now, and I think it might stick because it's really good, what really is the best for a game is to make it really fucking colorful. Like eye-meltingly colorful. And that kind of started with, well, okay, when I say started, I don't mean it led the charge, but I noticed it first with Devil May Cry 5 in March of 2019, which hurts to say at this point because now it's been a year and almost a year and a half since DMC5 came out, and that was such a good fucking game. Holy shit. But yeah, now DMC5 is quite gritty and kind of gray at points, but all of the attacks and enemies and particle effects are super fucking colorful. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of a double whammy, but I think I really love how colorful Doom Eternal is despite its subject matter and its aesthetic, and I hope that games say, hey, real life is actually really colorful, if you actually like open your eyes, which I hope you didn't wait this long to open your eyes, So yeah, looking forward to games being really colorful because I think it's just better. Well, obviously it's better than that, but yeah. Ghost of Tsushima recently came out, and I've seen some shots from its photo mode, and it looks just absolutely fucking gorgeous. Like, I can't believe how good that game looks, so I might pick it up. I don't even know if it's 30 or 60 FPS, because if it's 30, I might wait until it's on PS5 or whatever, Anyway, that was Doom Eternal. Now we can kind of resume with the lightning round because I don't think I have as many things to say about these other things. That's probably a lie. Next up, we have the anime I think I talked about in the last episode. Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, or Keep Your Hands Off the Motion Pictures Club, which is about 3 girls that... God, I can't remember their names. God, that sucks. Because I finished it in, April, right? But it's about 3 girls that run a anime club, but it's not about watching and talking about anime, it's about making anime. And, I talked about it in the previous episode, so I don't really have to give any context, but it was really fucking good, and I really fucking loved that show, and I really look forward to more. So, fuck yeah, Eizouken. I hope to God it gets a second season because it fucking deserves it, and it would be an absolute joy to see more of the club in action and what goofy ideas they come up with. And the manga's still going, so fuck it. I want that second season. I hope we get it. Next up, Mega Man. Now, I broke my discussion of the Mega Man games down into each series because I felt that was the best way to kind of look at things. So, Mega Man Classic. What's there to say that hasn't already been said? Blah, blah, blah. It was, wow, it was fun to start with the Classic, and it was really brutal for quite a while, but I was glad that I played through them. I was keeping notes for Classic to kind of, help me in my mind explicitly distinguish, how the multiplayer, how the gameplay evolved over time. And so I was keeping a note on Discord of each game and what things changed from it. So from 1 to 2 is a huge change because they got rid of high score and they made enemies do less damage and drop health stuff more often, alongside a bunch of other stuff. And the graphics of the first 6 games got better over time because they were all on the NES. All these other things, Rush was introduced, Charge Shot, the Slide, all, different devil forms, yada, 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 yada. You're honestly better off playing all of the classic games and, taking your own notes than trying to have me surmise everything. My favorite classic game is 7, without a fucking doubt, because that SNES swagger, it was the first classic game to come out after X1, and I think X2 as well, so I can only imagine the folks at Capcom were like, okay, so we made a couple X games, and they're super badass and metal as fuck, and everybody fucking loves the shit out of them because they're amazing, so what are we going to do with classic? Because how are we going to bring up the classic style Mega Man without making it too much like X and therefore losing its identity? And they did it beautifully. It's a kind of cartoonish game, but also it has that kind of X swagger DNA kind of running through it, including at the very end Mega Man threatening to shoot Wily before the castle blows up. That was really fucking crazy, and I love that you can collect parts in the levels that eventually let you merge with Rush to become this red Mega Man with a rocket fist that shoots out and homes in on enemies and then comes back to you. That was really cool. So 7 is my favorite classic Mega Man because it's like really good and stuff. 8 was also very interesting, the one that followed on the PS1. And I mean, that one's really goofy, but yeah. 9 and 10 were the retro throwback ones, and I mean they work. They got really dense. They have really dense 8-bit graphics, which is cool. They obviously do stuff that you couldn't do on the NES back then because the tech wasn't there. But yeah, so those were all right. I honestly don't have much that I remember about the retro quote-unquote games. Games, not glames. What the fuck? I can't speak for shit. My tiredness is starting to kick in, but I have so much else to talk about. Fuck. The classic game, the retro classic games being 1 through 6 and 9 and 10, they all really fucking bleed together in my mind. So, yeah, sure, one of them's better than the others. Yeah, they're definitely different, huh? I mean, you talk to Mega Man fans and they'll straighten you out and say, "Oh, number 4 is my favorite. Oh, number 6 is based." Ooh, I don't know. 7's my favorite. 7 and 8 have very unique identities because they are so themselves, and there's no other Mega Man that's like 7 or like 8. Mega Man 11 was also pretty good. I really liked the double gear system, and I felt ultimately it got a bit easy once you kind of got the ball rolling, because once you start buying all those items in the shop, like auto charge and all that other stuff, it made the game quite easy, and it didn't stop me from buying them because I love being overpowered, but I will completely admit that I feel like when you do buy all those items, you're way too overpowered and the game becomes a bit of a cakewalk, which is fine for me. I don't get mad or feel that the game's bad from that, but I recognize that a Mega Man game is traditionally a little on the difficult side, so for it to lean so heavily on the easy side was weird. Once I finally got the ball rolling, I fucking died on, I think it was Drill Man, the one with the yellow and black, like not hurdles, but like stop sign thingamajiggers. I don't know if that was like the construction level. I don't know if that was Drill Man, but that was the first one I did, and I died there so many fucking times. I died on that level so many times. And then eventually, finally, once I beat it, like everything else kind of just fell into place really quickly. So that was cool. So Mega Man Classic, pretty good. I can't even like. It's not that they're bad. They're not bad at all because I played all of them, right? They're generally pretty good games. It's just that there isn't much to distinguish them, and I'm a guy that revels in upgrades and unlocks and collectibles. So each Mega Man game I played, I did look up all the collectibles so I could, do everything and see everything there is in the game before I moved on. But yeah, so whatever. Mega Man Classic's a thing. I'm glad I played them. I don't know when I'll replay them, anytime soon. Next up, we're talking about a couple of Call of Duty games. Actually, we're not. We will after this next item. But also I'm going to take a little bit of a break so my throat and voice can recover because I feel it starting to give out a little. So, quick BRB. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, I think. I don't know. I'm actually feeling quite tired. It's now 4 a.m. So gotta figure that out, right? Anyway. So I think if I'd go even more lightning upon the lightning round, that would be good. That might accidentally make this episode a shorter one because 2 hours is the norm, but I can't remember all these things if I wanted to, right? I finished some of these things months ago, so the details are very hard to reminisce about, like I already said earlier this podcast, right? So let's just go a little faster. I finished Ballmastrz 9009 Season 2, which came out recently. Fucking love Ballmastrz. It's a great Adult Swim animated comedy show, and it's got a really cool kind of scratchy animation style, and there's actually a lot of really good animation cuts. It's about an extreme sport they play in the future in the post-apocalypse, which is, just a great setting. And I always considered it to have some kind of anime influence thanks to the character of Dolina Dunita. If it might be the other way around, but yeah, her name's something like that. But God, let me tell you, the anime influence became so much more fucking obvious in the second season, and I'm all for it, dude. I'm here for it, and I fucking love it, and I fucking love Ballmastrz to death, and I can't wait for a third season. I fucking love Ballmastrz, so really good. Really glad I watched it. Ballmastrz is great, and I'm dying to find somebody else to watch it and appreciate it like I do, because I really fucking love it. And again, I really like its scratchy art style. Look it up and you'll see what I mean by scratchy. There's a lot of like extra line, like a lot of really numerous lines for shading, instead of like using a darker tone for a color or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, Ballmastrz Season 2, great. Next up, a pair of Call of Duties. I finally pulled the trigger on Modern Warfare 2019, and I also got Modern Warfare 2 Remastered just for shits and giggles. I played Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Great way to revisit things. It's funny because I played it way back in the day, right, when it came out, and I remembered a lot about the campaign, but there were also some finer details that I had forgotten. So it was cool to reminisce on all of that, and I'm part of the very, very obvious group of people that are like, yeah, that's cool, but we really need the multiplayer too, right? I found out a few days ago somebody is working on making a mod to mod Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered, because it is only the campaign, actually, into a multiplayer thing, so that's really cool. I look forward to that. Modern Warfare 2019 was very good, actually. There were some parts of it, gameplay-wise, that I didn't really completely gel with, but the campaign was overall pretty good, and it was fun to play a brand new Call of Duty cinematic experience, because I don't typically hate them or dislike them, because they're just stupid fun for the most part. And there are some story problems, and like I said, there were some parts in the gameplay that I didn't really like or agree with. But for the most part, it was pretty fucking solid, and the graphical fidelity of that game is just insane. And there's a couple night missions where you have to clear out like really small apartment buildings and go room by room, and it's really intense. And the night vision looks really good in that game, and yeah, really cool. Glad I played it, and I look forward to a potential sequel if there is one, because they definitely had sequel bait. The multiplayer is also fun, and it was really fun to get back into a Call of Duty game for a period of time, even if it is a bit different. Like, they actually changed things for once. Ooh, changed things, I should say. But I had fun with it. I'm glad I bought it. Haven't played it much in the couple of months since the month I got it, but I played it I played a fuckload of it the month I got it. So I don't know when/if I'm coming back, but I got my money out of it. It was on sale for like 40% off or something, so I got it right at the perfect time. Next up, I doubled down on the fucking Mega Man stuff, because I actually bought the Call of Duty games while I was still in the middle of the Mega Man Classic games, and I wanted to finish all the classic things before I moved on to Call of Duty. So once I did that, I could move on to the rest of the Mega Man games. So the Mega Man X series is really fucking cool. It's like a more metal version of Mega Man, basically. I think Mega Man X1 and 2 are absolute must-plays for anybody. And if you like them, then you can go play more, Mega Man wherever you want, But I do think Mega Man X and X2 are up there on like that special pedestal of games everybody should play if they consider themselves a gamer. I genuinely believe they belong up there because gameplay's tight as fuck, soundtracks are to die for. The story isn't really that important, but there is still a good story about, overcoming weakness and becoming stronger and, fighting the good fight for everlasting peace, and all that good stuff. So my opinions on Mega Man X, you've got 1 through 3 on the SNES, which are all pretty, 1 and 2 are really fucking good, 3 is like alright, and then you've got 4, 5, and 6, which are on the PS1/Sega Saturn, I believe, like Mega Man 8 was, and 4 is pretty good, and then 5 is kind of bad, and then 6 is like really bad, like holy fucking shit, ooh. If 6 is the one with high max and the lab they have to go through for Gate, yeah, God, that game is fucking, like, it's so crazy because if you look at Mega Man X6 just out of context, it looks totally fine. Like the graphics are great, the soundtrack's great. The soundtrack in every X game is amazing, and I would say pretty much every Mega Man game has an amazing soundtrack. But on the surface, you'd think Mega Man X6 still looks like a totally good game, but just when you're actually playing it and you can feel it and you see how things actually play out in like your gamer brain, there's just a lot of really weird oversights and really shitty design of things. And that final level where you have to go through the laboratory to fight Hymax, that final level is just a fucking steaming pile of dog shit. The boss fight against Hymax is fucking dog shit, and the final boss fight against Gate is really bad. I wouldn't necessarily qualify it as steaming dog shit, but it is really fucking bad. So yeah. Then you can play X7, which is the worst game in the series, but now that I've played it a second time and I found the quote unquote right way to do things, because I was playing as I was doing everything the wrong way. I wasn't like abusing auto fire and everything. I found out it isn't that X7 is really shitty and also kind of really hard, which makes it even harder to enjoy it. It's actually kind of easy, which like totally blew my mind because I had X7 growing up. I believe I talked about that in the previous podcast episode, so I won't go into detail here. But yeah, so it was fun to do a repeat play of it. A repeat, but just like 10 or 15 years later. And yeah, so played through that again, and then X8 was actually really interesting. I liked it quite a bit, actually. There were still some parts that I was like, well, this is fucking stupid, but I think there are really good ideas there, like how, instead in X7, when you kill a boss, Axel he has like 3 or 4 different guns that then fire different projectiles for each boss or whatever. So like each weapon will have like 2 or 3 different projectiles to make it like a total of 8 or whatever. Instead in X8, Axel gets a completely unique weapon for each boss that you fight, which is really fucking cool. So that gives him a lot of options. And just, yeah, there's just a lot of really cool ideas in X8, and I actually came out of it really liking it because it opened up a really interesting place for the story to go, and I really liked the gameplay and kind of how they modernized things a bit. So I'm actually kind of bothered we don't have an X9, honestly, at this point, because I always heard that X7's terrible and then X8's just a little bit better, but I would argue that X8 is a pretty good game. It still doesn't fucking hold up to X1 or 2, and probably not 4 either, but I think X8 is a pretty good game in its own right, so there's that. And then you have, moving along, we've got Mega Man 0, 0, 1 through 4, which all I can really say, remembering about all of them, or trying to remember anything about all of them, they're all really fucking good. Like, really, really good. There are parts in the story that maybe bothered me, and the first game and second game were maybe a little, in hindsight, they're not as good as the others because there's just so much more going on in the other games. But they've got good stories. Like, the further you get into this sub-series, like, timeline or whatever, the better overall the game is, and the deeper they go with the story and everything. And, yeah, Zero, really good fucking games, really fun to play, and, particularly, I want to highlight the collections as being really good because, actually, fun fact, the collections for Mega Man Classic and X all have a little bit of input lag, which is really fucking lame. But the Mega Man Zero/ZX collection doesn't have any input lag because they're actual ports of the games instead of being emulation or whatever they do to run Classic and X. So technically, the actual, like, literal files for the game are in the collection somewhere, with all the PNGs or whatever the fuck. So, runs buttery smooth, and they're really fun to play, just slashing the shit out of stuff. And thanks to the save assist system, it's not a huge fucking pain when you die. You can just, try again. And yeah, really good fucking games. Really glad I played them. And then finally, you've got the ZX games where the story takes a bit of a hit, and the gameplay takes a bit of a hit as well as they transform into becoming Metroidvanias with less than ideal map design. But ZX games were pretty good. I like that they were kind of an open world thing. You could do a ZX game a lot fucking better if you made it a genuine, like, Metroidvania with a grid based design instead of the weird thing they did with, like, I don't know. You gotta fucking play it. Look at the map. Here's me yawning because I'm fucking tired. But yeah, I liked ZX Advent quite a bit. Because you get so many fucking options in combat and everything, and yada yada yada. I wish we got that third game to kind of finally fully develop that story that they were basically just setting up in Advent. But yeah, so that was cool. I got the Omega form and everything in Advent, as difficult as it was regardless, so that was cool. And my phone just go off. Oh, I'm at 15%. Why don't you shut up, bitch? You ever just tell your phone to shut up because it's being stupid? It'll be like, I've turned off, anyway. Yeah, ZX games not super, they're not like drop dead masterpieces, but I think they're at least alright. I think they're worth playing, maybe. If you're in the Mega Man mood, overall, you should play X1 and X2 no matter what. Everybody should play X1 and X2 because they're really fucking slick. And then if you like those, look into playing other Mega Man games to kind of feed your newfound obsession for, fast, jumpy, shooty, platforming goodness, But, just play X1 and X2 and then worry about the other games later. Because, shit, dude, 25 fucking Mega Man games just like that. I don't know how I fucking did it, but I did. And I'm, of course, I'm far from the first person to have done it, but I do get the esteemed honor of being the first person in my friend group that has played all 25 main Mega Man games. Main timeline. Count them with me. Use your hands to count with me. Don't. I mean, or I guess you could count it out loud. Whatever. I'm not gonna count though myself because I'd probably fuck up a number somewhere. So Mega Man 1. Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, Mega Man 5, Mega Man 6, Mega Man 7, Mega Man 8, Mega Man 9, Mega Man 10, Mega Man 11. We could have just skipped all that because we know it's 11. Anyway, Mega Man 11 is number 11. X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X6, X7, X8. We're up to 19 games. 01, 02, 03, 04, ZX, ZX Advent. 25 fucking games. 25 Mega Man games. And I don't know how I did it, and I don't know how my brain isn't just totally Mega Man-ified after all that, but hey, now Mega Man's a series I always wanted to get a bit deeper into because of my short experience with it in my childhood, as I mentioned in the previous podcast, and now I've done it. So boom, the Mega Man Crusade was a success, and yeah, I can't say I know everything about Mega Man, but I can say that I've conquered every mainline challenge at some point. So boom, except for like Buster Only. I guess I can't say every challenge, quote unquote, but I've beaten all the games, so that's cool, and I can kind of just put that little pin on my gamer license. I almost said hunter license because I've got Hunter x Hunter on the brain. My bad. Ugh. So that concludes all the Mega Man shit. After Mega Man, I was in the mood to play an actually like fully well realized Metroidvania, and so I finally picked up Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. And I put a lot of hours into that game to actually 100% it and get the platinum and everything, collect all the achievements. So that was cool. Sorry, I'm just totally fucking spacing out. Bloodstained, really good, really fucking solid Metroidvania game. Very clearly just carrying the DNA and the soul of Symphony of the Night going forward. And I don't want to say it repeats a lot of things, but it feels like a cover of sorts. And it does its own things in some ways, which is really nice. But it does maybe feel a little too reliant on that original for maybe some people. Maybe some people will be bothered by it. I liked the shard system and all the different moves you could get and how you could grind for things and yada yada. It was really fun. I did a lot of that during the next thing. But yeah, so Bloodstained, really good. Glad I played it. Story isn't really anything to write home about, just to be upfront, but the gameplay was really solid, and I look forward to another one if they make it. There is a Bloodstained like 16-bit version that's supposed to be a retro Castlevania style game, whereas Ritual of the Night is the Symphony of the Night style game. So the retro style one is, I think, Curse of the Moon, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and they actually just announced a second one of those games, so I'm really hoping that we'll get a second Ritual of the Night style games where it's like a full Metroidvania. So yeah, looking forward to that, if at all possible. Now, during Bloodstained, once I finished the story and I was hell-bent on grinding stuff out and collecting shards and upgrading stuff en masse, I finally watched Rick and Morty Season 4, which was actually really fucking good for the most part. Rick and Morty is a show I've loved since the time between Season 2 and 3, when it kind of like just before it ascended to mainstream status, because of course, my hipster cred, but a friend introduced me to it, and I was like, hey, this show's pretty fucking based. So Season 3 rolled around, and I was honestly kind of let down, I would say. I felt like there was always at least like one good gag in every episode, but like the overall episode like theme and idea was never really super solid in my eyes. And so there's only a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 out of the 10 episodes of Season 3 that I can say looking back that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really good episode overall. And in retrospect, I think that's because I was watching it weekly, so I had a lot higher expectations for each episode going into it. So for Season 4, when it started coming out late last year, I said, no, I'm going to wait for the whole thing to come out, and then I'll just binge it, and then I can just, roll each episode into the next one, and just, whatever happens, happens. And Season 4 is really fucking good, actually. There were a lot of really good episodes, and it got me fired back up about the show again, so I'm glad that it's a thing, you know? I haven't rewatched season 3. I didn't rewatch any episodes for season 4 going into it, but yeah, you know? So season 4 is really fucking good. So I'm like back again on the Rick and Morty train after a few years being like, I don't know. So that's cool. Moving along now, I've made incredible progress. So moving along, Promare. Finally saw Promare. I borrowed a Blu-ray from a friend and finally got to fucking watch it. I wanted to watch it in theaters last year, but the couple of dudes that I was gonna go with were both busy. So we were all Trigger fans. So it was like, hey, let's all go see Promare, but they were busy, and I'm not going to the theater by myself. That's lame. So I just didn't see it for a while. And then when I was hanging out with somebody, I was like, holy shit, you got Promare on Blu-ray. I want to borrow the shit out of this. So I did, and I watched it, and it was really cool. The story, my short review of Promare, the story isn't anything really crazy amazing. It's not anything to really write home about, but the animation has a lot of really fucking gorgeous moments and a couple scenes that I won't forget for a while because they were so fucking good. I don't even want to spoil which scenes I'm talking about because the way I watched Promare was such an interesting experience in that, like, I don't know. I didn't know when it was over. I was like, all right, okay, I could see it ending here, and then it just kept going. You know, it was one of those kinds of movies, but in a good way, not in a bad way. So, yeah, really cool, really good fucking aesthetics, and yeah, you know, cool shit. Glad I watched Promare. Again, story's not anything amazing, but it's okay. It's a really pretty movie, and it's pretty enough that I would definitely consider rewatching it just for the fucking hype of some of those scenes. They were animated so beautifully. I was just like in awe, just like, holy shit, is this really happening? It's that kind of level of animation where you're like, bruh, like, did this really happen? How did they make this? You know, and it's those kinds of experiences that you can't get very often. So I'm really glad that I got it, and I'm also so glad that I watched it on Blu-ray because holy shit, I can't even imagine not watching it on Blu-ray at this point. Like, it just looks so goddamn good. And it wasn't even 4K. I don't even have a 4K TV. But, like, fuck, dude. Blu-rays are so nice and crispy. So, that's cool. Moving on to the next thing. I guess this is a good point to jump in and talk about SMT a little and what my plan with it is. I haven't finished one of the games yet, but I just want to bring it up because it should have been connected to the 2DS rant. But anyway, so originally my plan was there's like 20 main quote unquote. There's like 20 core, let's say, Shin Megami Tensei games, and about half of them are playable on modern systems, and within that playable modern half of them are on the PS2 and are available digitally on the PS3 as a result, and the other half are on the 3DS. So my intent was to play all, 10 of those or whatever in release order to get, the quote unquote best experience of seeing how things evolve over time. But I ultimately decided that since it's the kind of game where, like, the gameplay loop is very similar, like constantly, like Pokemon, the balancing of things is always going to be different. There's always going to be little changes, so I might as well just find a good place to start and get my teeth sunk into, and then I can worry about the other ones. So on the DS, you've got 6 SMT titles. You've got Shin Megami Tensei 4, Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker, and Shin Megami Tensei Soul Devil Summoners Soul Hackers, I believe. Those are all off the top of my head. I don't even have my fucking DS open or on right now because that's just how cool I am. So the originally I would have started with Soul Hackers because it's actually a Saturn game that got ported to the 3DS. So it actually came out in like 97 or some shit. It's fucking ancient compared to the others. But ultimately, knowing that SMT is a difficult franchise and that it's very particular and there's a lot of shit going on in every game, I figured, hey, you know what? I might as well start with, a really good place to start and make sure I know what the fuck I'm doing before I worry about anything else. So, even though I bought all of them, I have all of them and all of them are installed. I ultimately decided, after much deliberation, I started with SMT 4, and I'm a big ways into it. I said a big ways. I don't. That's just sounds fucking stupid. I'm into it quite a bit. Not only in my enjoyment, but also in the length of the game. And I'm like on the cusp of starting like the big train wreck of shit happening. I can feel. So that's cool. I just need to do a bunch of challenge quests so I can get the neutral ending because. So anyway, I'm playing 4, and my current plan, because I keep deliberating and thinking about it, my current plan is I want to play 4 and then play 4 Apocalypse because it's a direct sequel to the neutral ending of 4, and then play Strange Journey Redux because Strange Journey is essentially SMT 3.5 because it plays like a mainline title and it came out between Nocturne and 4, with Nocturne obviously being SMT 3. So I'll play 4 Apocalypse, Strange Journey, but then I throw a fucking curveball and I want to jump to Persona 3, which I will probably play via emulation on PC. And then because I'm fucking dying to check out the presentation and the just the utter weeb trash shit that Persona is, because I had the wrong expectations going into SMT. I knew SMT would be dark, I knew things would be fucked up, but I kind of got blindsided by just how, fucked up things are. And ultimately, I realized that right now, with everything going on with the coronavirus and everything in the funk I was in, it's just like not the best time for me to get into fucked up stuff. I love, really dark stories. I love shit with a lot of terrible shit going on in it. I love Berserk, but I love experiencing those stories in the context of my real life being very just like just at peace, and like it's very calm and no one, I can just chill and do whatever, right? So that's cool. But yeah, so knowing that things are very fucking goofy right now, I just, I'm trying to limit my exposure to it. So hopefully if I jump from SMT to Persona, I really wanted to check out Persona 3 and 4 and 5. And then after that, I don't know what I'll do. But yeah, so I'm glad Persona 3, I'm glad Persona 4, my bad, is on PC now. I was kind of hoping that by the time I catch up to playing Persona, that 3 will be ported because it was rumored / leaked at the same time that Persona 4 was on Steam. So I'm hoping that the Persona 3 port comes really quickly, but I've still got a bit of time to go because the SMT games are long, and I'm only done with one of the 3 I want to do before I start Persona. So there's that. And then I'll play Persona 3 via emulation, play Persona 4 via Steam, and then Persona 5 on my PS4 Pro, and finally revel in that Persona 5 royal goodness, because I'm not like under the illusion of like, oh, they're instant 10 out of 10s, they're masterpieces, but what I do really like from all the clips I've seen of gameplay and everything else is I just like its presentation style, and Persona 5 has an undeniable amount of fucking style and panache just oozing out of it everywhere. So it's really cool to watch. So I really look forward to playing it, and whether I like the story more than SMT 4 or, any other SMT game I've played will be up for debate, but goddamn that presentation. And it's really funny because in SMT 4 when I'm fighting demons, they're fucking JPEGs on the screen that move a little, and then in Persona 5 when people are fighting demons, I see like actual 3D fully rendered models of the demon JPEGs that I've been encountering, and I'm like, whoa, holy shit, it's actually that, it's Stonka, or whatever. So it's really cool to see, and that makes me excited with the hope that maybe they can import all those models into UE4 while they're working on Shin Megami Tensei 5. If they still are, oh, maybe they canceled it, which is the current favorite meme and joke of the shittiest part of the SMT community, So that's cool, at least. I'm going to take a quick pause here. 1 second. I know I just said that, like, SMT was bringing me down and everything, so it's weird for me to say, yeah, and I can't wait to play a couple more games and then play Persona. But I'm mostly out of the SMT, or I'm mostly over the SMT stuff being fucked up and being like, whoa. So, yeah. And I'm just going to weave other games in around and during SMT so I can just kind of parse things out. But also not because I don't want to oversell that, like, ooh, I'm a little disturbed by the content of these games. No. It's not really ultimately a big deal. It's just that, like, they're really fucking long JRPGs, and between their length and the fact I don't like being pinned down in one thing for too long, and also it's the 3DS isn't like, I can play the 3DS for like 2 or 3 hours, but I can't ever find a right place to play it comfortably. Like, I can lay on a couch, lay in bed, I can sit in a chair, but just nothing ever really feels completely right. So I can only play like for 2 or 3 hours before I just feel kind of done. Whereas on a console or on PC, I can play a game for like fucking 9 hours a day, So that's also a thing. So yeah. Those are my SMT plans as of right now, and we'll see where we're at when we get back here, for the next episode. But yeah, Persona 4, Persona. Ha! You mean that spin-off series? The plan is SMT 4, SMT 4 Apocalypse, SMT Strange Journey Redux, Persona 3, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5 Royal. Then from there, I don't know, I'll probably play the Devil Survivor games, probably, and then Soul Hackers or something. And then I'll be like, shit, no, I don't know what to play. Probably emulate Nocturne or something. I don't know. My mind goes wild. I've got other 3DS games to play as well, so that's a thing to worry about. Moving along. Last couple things here. Oh, man, we can finally be free. Oh, my God. I finally picked up and played Lego Lord of the Rings, because I hadn't played a Lego game in a while, and I was feeling a really big Lord of the Rings itch, because I was watching people react to the movies, and I was like, I love Lord of the Rings. What great fucking movies. So I needed something to play, and I found it. Bada bang, bada boom. Played through it. For a while, it was my YouTube machine, just 100%ing levels and doing stuff, until I found a mini kit or something to collect in the Mines of Moria, where you have to climb up a specific wall as Gollum. Except, like, the weird thing is, in Lego Lord of the Rings, there are these walls with, like, fish bones and fish skeletons coming out of them with, like, paths that you're supposed to climb as Gollum, and he sticks to them. But what's really weird is that when you hop on, they have, like, tank controls, so it's not just, like, you have to, like, kind of rotate him as he goes around a corner, but the corners are, like, sharp, like 90 degrees, and if he, like, hits the outside edge of any part of the path, instead of just, like, stopping and being unable to move, he just fucking jumps off the wall, which is so stupid. I don't know why the fuck he does it. But yeah, and that one mini kit, I'm very angry about this. That's why I suddenly have all this energy. That one mini kit, it's bad enough it's up a Gollum wall, but it, like, goes up and then it there's a corner and then another corner, and then you have to go up the wall again. But, like, it's like parts of it are missing, and it's like, oh, you just have to very carefully navigate it. Let me tell you, I can carefully navigate a lot of fucking things. You play enough Grand Theft Auto, you play enough fucking open world games where you have to drive a car around, you're gonna find ways to fucking drive around barricades and all sorts of shit, right? You play Halo, you'll find a way to get that ghost into the next sector of the level. You will find that way, right? I know a thing or two about trying to, maneuver things within confined spaces. And I tried it for like 15 minutes straight and I couldn't get it. And I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm just done with this for now. So I haven't fired it up back since. So it's sitting at like 60 or 70% completion because fuck that thing in particular. It just literally seems like a grind to just like not jump off the fucking wall immediately, right? 1 second here. Sometimes you just gotta kill a little bug flying around, Ugh. Anyway, yeah, that wall, fuck that wall. fuck golem walls. All my homies hate golem walls. So, it was pretty good otherwise. There were a few things I would change about it, game design-wise, to make it just super heavenly, but unfortunately, that's not what happened, so whatever. Like, okay, let me go into one of these. You can collect, so every, like, little objective you complete, like finishing a level or, like, hitting True Adventure for collecting studs within a level or whatever, you'll get a mithril brick, as well as you can get them from a bunch of other places. But you use mithril bricks alongside recipes that you find to create mithril items. So mithril items are needed to complete quests that can give you power bricks, which are basically the cheats of the game. But also, when you're walking around in free play, both in the overworld of Middle-earth and also in levels free play, right? You can open up a toolbox that has all of your mithril items in it. And that can basically give most other characters' abilities to any character by just using those mithril items. And also they're cool because they do those actions twice as fast. Here's the one thing I wanted this whole time I saw this mithril shit in action, right? All I fucking wanted. So you hold down B, it opens up this wheel of like different like item slots, and then at the bottom is the toolbox, and then you can open the toolbox, grab something, and then it's equipped until you like switch to a different tool, essentially. It doesn't end up in your weapon wheel. So my whole fucking plan was what we need is your custom character you can equip mithril items onto. So you can just have all them ready to fucking bust out. Because when you open the toolbox, it's not simply the things you've got. It's like the whole fucking chart of, like 10 by 6 or whatever. Like 20 by 6. That's just massive with every item in the game. And it can be hard to find what you're looking for sometimes. So if you just had all of the things you actually need for like to complete little, like little boxes to check off in each level, then you'd just be able to get through a lot faster. But unfortunately, you don't get that with your custom characters. And on top of all that, also, the custom characters are kind of really fucking lame because they just take pieces from most of the characters, but not all. And you have to have a cape on your character. And what's the absolute worst part about it, honestly, just in general, is the fact that I think I just saw a sleepy illusion. Anyway, the worst part of it in general is that you have to have a cape, and you can change the inside color of the cape, as in like what's behind your character. But in terms of, like from the back, the outside of the cape, it is always green. It's always green like an elven cloak, like the one Frodo has. And I have no fucking idea why it was like that. I've got no fucking clue why they didn't let you change the outside color of the fucking thing, So, yeah, pretty fucking lame. I wish you could equip mithril items on your characters to like have them permanently in the weapon wheel. Again, your custom characters can pull stuff out of the toolbox like anybody else, but it would be so much more effective and efficient and easy to be able to say, hey, your character has 6 or 7 item slots. here's your ability to set what you want there, but apparently not. Anyway, that'll conclude this fucking podcast. My tiredness is really starting to fucking fuck with me. So I gotta get the fuck out of here and go to sleep. I hope I hope the next episode isn't as far away. The intent, as one could imply, of a schedule for the podcast is one a month, but obviously that is becoming less and less of a rule and more of a guideline, right? So, yeah. I never really forget about the podcast. I never say, "Oh, I'm done with it," because if I was done with it, I would at least tail end the last episode by saying, "By the way, this is the last episode," right? I'm not done with the podcast. I don't forget about it. It's just that it's hard for me to find specific time frames when I am in a good state of mind to do it, and I want to do it, and it's at a right time of the day where I, won't be distracted for 2 or 3 hours. So as it begins to become light outside, it's time for me to go and return back to my slumber. And God, I'm so tired at this point. It's gonna be so good when I do fall asleep. So yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking out my stuff in general. We have a Discord server. If you'd like to join that, it's in the description. That's the only link in the description. So yeah, thanks for listening, and take it easy. Stay safe. Don't do anything fucking stupid during this whole coronavirus stuff, and just try and stay sane, because it's got to stop at some point, right? It's got to. So, I know it's hard right now, man, but you just gotta believe. You just gotta fucking believe, okay? We'll make it. Just gotta believe.